Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Continue reading from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3, Chapter 27, Text 17. Devatiruvacha Purusham Prakritir Brahman Na Vimunchati Karhichet Anyonya Ashriyat Akcha Nityatvad Anayo Prabhu. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Sri Devahuti inquired, "My dear Brahmana, does material nature ever give release to the spirit soul? Since one is attracted to the other eternally, how is their separation possible?" Devahuti, the mother of Kapiladev, here makes her first inquiry. Although one may understand that spirit, soul, and matter are different, the actual separation is not possible either by philosophical speculation or by proper understanding. The spirit soul is the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord, and the matter is the external potency of the Lord. The two eternal potencies have somehow or the other been combined, and since it is so difficult to separate one from other, how is it possible for the individual soul to become liberated? By practical experience, we can see that when the soul is separated from the body has no real existence. And when the body is separated from the soul, one cannot perceive the existence of the soul. As long as the soul and body are combined, we can understand that there is life. But when they are separated, there is no manifested existence of the body or the soul. This question asked by Devahuti of Kapiladev is more or less impelled by the philosophy of voidism. The voidists say that consciousness is a product of a combination of matter, and that as soon as the consciousness is gone, the material combination dissolves, and therefore it is ultimately nothing but voidness. This absence of consciousness is called nirvana in Mayavad philosophy. So Devahuti is saying that, okay, I understand that you are saying that spirit, soul, and matter, they are different, but how do you separate them? How do you separate? Because we are seeing in the material world, everything is a combination of matter and spirit. We are seeing, for example, the birds flying, the trees are full of life, because the soul is there in the body. As soon as the soul is left, the tree is dead, the bird is dead. And so she's asking, oh, so then when they're both not combined, you cannot either see the consciousness, you cannot understand that there is any consciousness, and also the body is dead then. So Prabhupada is saying this is voidism. Voidism, why? Because this means that consciousness is a product of matter. Consciousness is a product of matter, and that as soon as this combination is not there of matter and spirit, everything is zero. There's nothing there. The soul also is not existing, and matter is also not existing. So it's become zero now. So, but this is not the fact, because we, the consciousness, although we may not be apparent in this material body, but we are taking another material body, or we are going to the spiritual world to take a spiritual body. So the soul, the consciousness always exists, always exists. Not that the consciousness is existing only till the time it's there in the body. Yatha gandhasya bhumescha na bhavo vyati rekataha apam rasasya cha yatha tatha buddhe parasya cha. As there is no separate existence of the earth and its aroma, or of water and its taste, there cannot be any separate existence of intelligence and consciousness. The example is given here that anything material has an aroma. The flower, the earth, everything has an aroma. If the aroma is separated from the matter cannot be identified. If there's no taste to water, the water has no meaning. If there's no heat in the fire has no meaning. Similarly, when there is want of intelligence, spirit has no meaning. So she's trying to put this argument. She's trying to put the argument that the characteristic of the earth is fragrance, Or we may give the same or the example of fire can be said that heat and light, that's a characteristic of fire. So you cannot separate heat and light from fire. So she's saying similarly, we cannot separate, the consciousness and intelligence. So, sorry, akartuhu karma bandhoyam purushasya yad ashrayah guneshu satsu prakritehe kaivalyam teshva atta katham. Hence, even though he is a passive performer of all activities, how can there be freedom for the soul as long as material nature acts on him and binds him? Although the living entity desires freedom from contamination of matter, he is not given release. Actually, as soon as a living entity puts himself under the control of the modes of material nature, his acts are influenced by the qualities of material nature and he becomes passive. It is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita, Prakrite Kriyamanani Gune Karmani. The living entity acts according to the qualities or modes of material nature. So we are the living entity. In our liberated state, we are not bound by this goodness, passion, and ignorance. But right now, because we are in the material world, all our activities are influenced by these modes, goodness, passion, and ignorance. And each of us has different degrees of this control of the different modes. There's 8,400,000 species of life based on the different permutation and combination of these three modes of nature. So then we may say, oh, well, it's all the modes, it's not me, Krishna is saying, Prakrite Kriyamanani. That don't think you are the doer, everything is being done by the modes of nature. So I don't have anything to do. I'm free. No, we have to understand it's acting based on our desire. So we cannot use this as an excuse to say, oh, I'm in the modes of nature and so I'm not responsible. No, the desire is ours. Although we are passive, although everything is being done by the modes of nature and the soul, right now we are passive, we are in the body, and everything is happening because of our desire. Paramatma is giving the signal to the demigods, okay, yes, you move the body like this, you move the body like that. So the soul is not doing anything. But we are responsible because it's happening because of our desire. Okay, so in other words, he has no opportunity to get out of the control of material nature because it has already conditioned him. In Bhagavad Gita, it is also stated that it is very difficult to get out of the clutches of material nature. Krishna says that this Devi Esha Gunamai, he says that this divine energy of mine, Devi Esha Gunamai, he says this divine energy of mine, which consists of the three modes of material nature, is very difficult to overcome. It's not easy for us to give up these modes of goodness, passion, and ignorance. We may give up our ignorance, we may come to passion, we may give up our passion, we may come to goodness, but we cannot maintain that goodness. For all the 24 hours, we cannot maintain it. We are again bound by passion, again by ignorance. So one may try in different ways to think that everything is void in the ultimate issue, that there is no God, and that even if the background of everything is spirit, it is impersonal. This speculation may go on, but actually it's very difficult to get out of the clutches of material nature. Devahuti poses the question that although one may speculate in many ways, where is liberation as long as one is under the spell of material nature? The answer is also found in Bhagavad Gita 7.14. Only one who has surrendered himself unto the lotus feet of the Supreme Lord Krishna, Mam eva ye prapatyante, can be freed from the clutches of Maya. So just by our mental speculation, as long as we are on the mental platform, we are in this material world. We are bound by the modes of material nature. The modes of material nature will not let us go just because we simply imagine that, oh yes, right now I am free. I am not under the modes of material nature. But that's just my imagination. It's not the fact. It's not true. So I may believe anything. I may believe there is no God, or that everything is just light. There is no supreme controller. You see, what happens is, why is it easier for people to say there is no controller, there is light, only light? Because when we think that way, and then it gives us a stamp. Yes, I can continue doing my nonsense. Because if I accept, oh, there is a God and everything belongs to him, then, oh my God, I have to engage everything in his service. I have to I have to behave properly. I can't just misuse things. So it's easier for me to say, everything, there's no God anyways. Or even if God is there, he's just light, it is just light. So it's easier so that we feel, okay, we don't have any responsibility then. But it does not become a fact. It does not become a fact. If we just close our eyes, doesn't mean that the sun is not risen. So now devotee is saying, how can one get the liberation while one is in the material world? So Krishna is saying that he's saying Devi Yesha Gunamai, Mam Maya Duratyaya, very difficult to overcome. But he also says, Mam eva ye prapadyante, mayam etam tarantite, that one who surrenders unto me can very easily cross beyond it. He says, as soon as one surrenders, very easily one can overcome this modes of material nature. One can overcome this Maya. Then this whole ocean of material existence shrinks, becomes so small, like water contained in the hoof print of a calf, and the devotee can just walk over it. Since Devavati is gradually coming to the point of surrender, her questions are very intelligent. How can one be liberated? How can one be in a pure state of spiritual existence as long as he is strongly held by the modes of material nature? This is also an indication to the false meditator. There are many so-called meditators who think, I am the Supreme Spirit Soul. I'm conducting the activities of material nature. Under my direction, the sun is moving and the moon is rising. They think that by such contemplation or meditation, they can become free. But it is seen that just 3 minutes after finishing such nonsensical meditation, they are immediately captured by the modes of material nature. Immediately after his high-sounding meditation, a meditator becomes thirsty and wants to smoke or drink. He's under the strong grip of material nature, yet he thinks that he's already free from the clutches of Maya. So I might meditate that, yes, I become God, I'm the controller. I may think, okay, now I'm going to sit down in my meditation and I'm going to see that how I'm controlling the sun and how I'm controlling the moon and I'm stars. And I may actually believe it. I may actually believe all these things. Why? Because it's the desire of every living entity to become God. So this kind of imagination makes us even further into our illusion. But what happens after we finish our meditation? We get thirsty. We want to use the toilet. We get hungry. We are totally under the grip of material nature. So where is the question of being God? So this question of Devahuti is for such a person who falsely claims that he is everything, that ultimately everything is void, and that there are no sinful or pious activities. These are all atheistic inventions. Actually, unless a living entity surrenders unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, as instructed in Bhagavad Gita, there is no liberation or freedom from the clutches of Maya. So the only way that we can get liberation, as Krishna is saying, he's saying in Bhagavad Gita 7.14, that one who surrenders to me, then he can very easily get liberation. And so it is in our self-interest if we surrender to Krishna. We get situated in our original position. Instead of continuing to pretend that we are God, we should wake up and try and understand, oh, yes, I am not God. I should try to understand what's my relation with God. And then we can be really situated in our true life, true position. Did anyone want to add anything or comment anything? Any questions?
All seems clear.
All okay. Do you want me to start this or you want to end it here? It's about 4 minutes.
Yeah, we have 4 minutes now, so we can do one more.
Kvachit tatvavam marshena nivritam bhayam ulbanam anivritan nimitatvat punah pratyavatishtate. Even if the great fear of bondage is avoided by mental speculation and inquiry into the fundamental principles, it may still appear again, since its cause has not ceased. Material bondage is caused by putting oneself under the control of matter because of the false ego of lording it over material nature. So we are in bondage because we want to imitate God. We want to pretend I am the controller. I am independent. I have no relation with God. That's our false ego. Bhagavad Gita 7:27 states, Ichha Dvesha Samuthena. Two kinds of propensities arise in the living entity. One propensity is Ichha, which means desire to lord it over material nature, or to be as great as the Supreme Lord. Everyone desires to be the greatest personality in this material world. Dvesh means envy. When one becomes envious of Krishna or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one thinks, why should Krishna be the all in all? I'm as good as Krishna. These two items, desire to be the Lord and envy of the Lord, are the beginning cause of material bondage. As long as a philosopher, salvationist, or voidist has some desire to be supreme, to be everything, or to deny the existence of God, the cause remains, and there is no question of his liberation. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 7:27 that why we are here in this material world is because of two things. One is our desire to be God. We have this desire to be God and our envy of God. Why am I not God? Why is Krishna God? Why is he supreme? Why am I not supreme? So because of these two things, we are in this material world. Until the time we don't give up these two things, we continue to remain in the material world. So we may be trying to think of very good philosophies or, trying to wrap up in very good words. But as long as these two desires are there in our heart, we cannot get liberation. Why? Because the desire to be God is there and envy of God is there. So we have not yet corrected this propensity. So because we have not corrected this, we can't go to the spiritual world. Then we still have to remain in the material world. Devahati very intelligently says, one may theoretically analyze and say that by knowledge he has become freed. But actually, as long as the cause exists, he is not free. Also, we may have theoretical knowledge. We may understand I'm the spirit soul, I'm not God. But it's only in theory. We have not realized it. We have not realized. Till the time we don't realize, we're not free. Bhagavad Gita confirms that after performing such speculative activities for many, many births, when one actually comes to his real consciousness and surrenders unto the Supreme Lord Krishna, then the fulfillment of his research and knowledge is actually achieved. So when comes to the point to accept, yes, I am eternal servant of Krishna. I want to come to this point. I want to give up my material desires. I may be having all the material desires right now, but I want to at least come to this point. Then the path of liberation is open. It's open. I may not yet be liberated, but because I have this desire, then the path is open. So there's a gulf of difference between theoretical freedom and actual freedom from material bondage. The Bhagavatam Canto 10, chapter 14.4 says that if one gives up the auspicious path of devotional service and simply tries to know things by speculation, one wastes his valuable time. Krishyanti ye kevala bodha labdaye. The result of such a labor of love is simply labor. There is no other result. The labor of speculation is ended only by exhaustion. The example is given that there is no benefit in husking the skin of an empty paddy. The rice is already gone. Similarly, simply by the speculative process, one cannot be freed from material bondage, for the cause still exists. One has to nullify the cause, and then the effect will be nullified. This is explained by the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the following verses. So simply by imagining that I am become liberated, I am God myself, I am supreme, is not going to make us liberated. We have to accept that, oh, I am an eternal part and parcel of God. I have a loving relationship with Him. And so let me engage in devotional service. Then the path is open to liberation. And rather than just continuing to be on a mental platform that I am God. And if we waste our time just thinking that I am God, then it's like husking the empty husk of rice, husking the skin, the rice. It has to be, it's like fluffed up so that the husk uh, is separated from the grain. It's kind of beaten. So, but when it's already removed, when the rice is already removed, if we're just going to simply beat the husk, we're not going to get any rice. There's no rice in there. So by mental speculation, you're not going to get liberation. But by devotional service, yes, very easily we will get liberation, because it's correcting the main defect, which is the desire to be God and envy of God. Is that okay? Yes, I hope so. So we'll stop here for today then. So then that means we
So I
continue
just have one
hearing.
question.
Yes, please. Yes.
Yeah. So this is about the Devahuti, that what she thought she was explaining that.
She's asking questions. Yes.
Yeah, she's asking questions and then she was clearing that her doubts, right?
That's right.
Okay. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
So in the next verses, then Lord Kapila Dev is going to clarify her doubt. The idea is that we are here because we have the desire to be God, and because we are envious of God. So till the time we do not correct these two things, we will not get liberation. But immediately, as soon as we are engaging in devotional service, we are immediately working towards rectifying these two things. So for sure, the path of liberation is open.
And we should know that we are part and parcel of, we are part and parcel, and we are not the same, right? And
that's right. That's right. Yeah. That's what we have to understand. Yes. Yeah. So I'll stop here for today. Thank you so much for listening in and joining in. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shilpa Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Hare Krishna.